Richmond Valley Council recognises the people of the Bundjalung Nations as custodians and traditional owners of the land, and we value and appreciate the continuing culture, connection to lands, their living culture and their unique role in the life of this region in the past, present and future. Mr General Manager, could you read the prayer, please?
Dear Lord, we meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognise our responsibility to the past and the future, and the rights and needs of both individuals and community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and on our efforts here today. May we act wisely and well. Amen.
Amen. There's no apologies. We have a full house. Declaration of interest. Do you have any declarations? Any councillors got any declarations, staff? No declarations. Item 1 on the agenda is 5.1. It's a response to coronavirus community and economic resilient package. Before we get a motion, I'll ask the General Manager, I'll have you have a presentation. If you could go ahead with that, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. We've just got a presentation just to step through this package. Obviously, this has been put together quite quickly, given the world that we're living in at the moment. It's changing fast, hence obviously calling an extraordinary council meeting today so that we can get your consideration and resolution on a package to support our community, and that's what this presentation will provide us an overview, which is obviously detailed in the council report that you have received and is available on our website. It's in your papers, so I'll move through it, and we'll hopefully have the technology catch up. It's nice to be in front of the technology. There's plenty of it around at the moment. So basically, our guiding principles, what we're trying to achieve here is some direct actions to support our community. Obviously, we all know that many in the community are doing it tough. Timely responses to assist small business where we can with their cash flows. Also looking at some innovative programs for longer term strategic benefits. Obviously looking to continue to collaborate with our partners wherever we can. And the other thing which is really important for our organisation is being financially responsible for the long-term good of the organisation, because we will need to be there and fully functional when we move into recovery from the pandemic when that commences. So we've put a package together, and obviously tonight there's the opportunity for other ideas and input. It has come together quickly. With a lot going on, but we've put it into 2 phases. There's the immediate response phase, which is why we need some decisions here this evening, and then phase 2, which is I'll go through fairly quickly, but it's looking at some longer term recovery actions that we will be working on and continuing to develop. So the phase 1 immediate response, which we're into now, we've identified 8 areas where we're looking at providing support to our community. The first one being financial hardship. Obviously, a lot of our ratepayers, whether they be individuals who've lost their job or businesses that have unfortunately had to close their doors. There's obviously impacts across the board. So this is providing support to ratepayers through basically our financial hardship provisions, which enable any interest on overdue rates to be frozen so that interest doesn't accrue on outstanding amounts. We've initially put that in this program for a 6-month period. We'll obviously monitor how this pandemic evolves, and it's obviously something that Council could consider extending that if the need arose. We've estimated that the cost to Council typically over a 6-month period is around $85,000. Obviously, given the circumstances we're in at the moment being unprecedented, it may be more than that, and that's something that we will need to monitor. Second area we've identified is just through our local procurement and purchasing. Obviously, as Council, we are doing what we can to keep as functional as we can be. Obviously, a lot of what we do are essential services, so we need to keep that going. That's been a real focus for our management team, is to get our staff mobile, get them working from home where we can. That's obviously been a government directive to do that as much as possible. But also with our staff, our operational staff, it's keeping them mobile in the field while also complying with the social distancing. So that's required some different ways of getting crews around the LGA. We've had to increase our vehicle fleet for a period of time. So there's some of the things that we're doing so that we continue to do what we do on a daily basis. And obviously part of that is any procurement and purchasing, which we're doing quite a bit of. Around the hygiene side of things, which unfortunately we don't have a local supplier of hand sanitizer. It'd be a nice time to be in that business, because that's certainly something everyone's trying to procure. Same with face masks and those sorts of things. But our team are very active in securing what we need so we can continue to do. But where there's products that we can purchase locally, we're increasing the weighting that goes to local content, so that we can help businesses where we're able to. The next area was around industry resilience, and that is just putting together a group of regional representatives. So we're already in some discussions with some of these groups, like Regional Development Australia, the New South Wales Business Chamber, Oz Industry, our neighbouring councils and other key industries, just to see what we can do. So our economic development team are already having those discussions, and the potential is there to pull together a resilience task force, whether that be on a Richmond Valley council-wide basis or more regionally. Certainly something we've identified could be beneficial. The next item was around just being flexible in the support that we can provide to our community, whether that be through our library services. We've had to close our library services, but I must say our library service is very busy at the moment, with providing home deliveries, allowing people to come and pick up borrowings from the libraries, providing e-learning and e-library support services as well. So they're the sorts of things that we're continuing to provide. So there's a range of things in this area that we're looking to be flexible with. We'll obviously be flexible with our fees and charges around field hire, that obviously won't be able to be happening for at least the next 3 months, and we'll see where that goes. Other things like, parking fines. I mean, we're not overly regulatory in our approach, as we all know. We focus on the education side of things, but there may be some impact there. Actually, one of the probably areas where we have recouped some fines over the last 6 months has been in dealing with activities on the beach as part of our summer program down there. But as of today, the beach for four-wheel drive access will be closed. So that's obviously an avenue there as well. So there's a few things there that we're looking at being flexible with, so we can support our community. Other assistance is around compliance. Obviously, businesses are, where they can, are adapting to the changed requirements, in particular, some of the food premises. So we've been proactive with that in just providing advice and support to those businesses where they're still able to operate. But if there was a need to adapt their requirements, our environmental health officers will certainly be supportive and assist businesses to adapt. So the next area is e-library services. I touched on that a minute ago. I think I got an update from our regional library manager, and I think over the last week they have still loaned out, I think it was 1,500 loans over the last week. So still quite active, obviously, in the current environment when everyone's supposed to be staying at home. Plenty of time to read plenty of books or to watch movies that can be borrowed from our library. Obviously a wide range of services available. It's far more than just borrowing a book. So I would encourage people, if they're interested, I think you can become a member online and take advantage of the e-library services and other things that are available, and they're only a phone call away as well. So I'd encourage people to take advantage of that service. The next one is small business crisis training. Obviously, we know our small businesses are hurting. Many have had to close or are in the process now of closing. So this is a program that is being taken up by a few other councils across our region. The program is well respected from what we understand, and so this would be the opportunity to assist our small businesses with some crisis training and things that they might be able to do to either get through this period or make sure that when it's time to get going again, they're in a position to do that. The final area that we identified in phase one was really around our Northern Rivers Livestock Exchange, and that was to show what we've done there to keep that operation going. That's been a real combined effort over the last month, both with our staff but also with agents and with Stock Live, to be able to live stream a number of those sales, in particular the store sales, but also when the big weaner sales. And you've seen in the media recently the records that were broken through that period, both in the turnover of stock numbers, but also their value. So whilst there's a lot of tough times at the moment, at least there's one area of our business and our community that's getting some back, obviously following the impacts of the drought and the bushfires as well. So that's an overview of phase one. In total, sort of the proposed financial effect of that is around $142,000. That is an estimate. That'll obviously depend on the take-up of things like the financial hardship. So we'll be monitoring that closely, and we'll obviously report that back to you. Phase two is, as I mentioned, looking at more strategic recovery actions so that we're ready to go when that time arrives. So we've touched on those areas around our infrastructure and bushfire recovery. We're still busy with our bushfire recovery and our revitalisation plan. I was at a meeting yesterday to look at options around the rebuild of the Rapville Hall. So we're getting on with things as much as we can. We've also identified there around our government advocacy, which we do plenty of, but obviously we'll continue to focus there. Other things identified that we're developing up around our sustainability programs, events promotions, community grants program opportunities, and tourism promotion. So our tourism team are busy in looking at a range of initiatives so that once tourism is back on the agenda, we are there to support getting people back into our area as quickly as we can, so that our hospitality industry and tourism industry can recover quickly. So that's an overview of that package for you. We'll obviously put a communications plan together and consult where we can. Obviously in this day and age, consultation's mostly online over the phone, but we are doing that. We are supporting people. We'd encourage people in business, if you want to have a chat, our economic development team are available to have a chat about how we can enhance these things to help our businesses recover when that time arrives. So that's an overview for you councillors. I'm happy to take any questions, or you can move into the debate.
Anyone got any questions before we? No? Oh, sorry, Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just wondering, have we done any modelling on, for instance, if we were to, and I know we've never done this before, but obviously it's unprecedented times, but if we were to give, for example, a relief on rates to businesses in the Richmond Valley, or the small businesses in the Richmond Valley, what that might cost?
We haven't done specific modelling. We have looked at some of the, obviously I think our business rates is a significant portion of our rate revenue. One of the challenges that we'd have is, or we'd have to think through is those businesses that are being impacted. Not all businesses are being impacted. Obviously, a lot are. So I suppose the short answer is no, we haven't done any modelling. Happy to have a look at what that might look like. I think, but I suppose we do obviously would need to take that into account when it comes to the impact on our, I suppose, financial sustainability, and it is something that, you know, the federal government in particular has provided a lot of stimulus to business, to help business and help individuals. So I suppose, and I know that the local government sector is very active in pushing both the state and federal governments for specific either stimulus or support packages for councils. Some councils are struggling financially already. Some have had to put staff off. Some are obviously in they've got a different business model to ours. They do provide a different range of services. Yeah, we've at this stage been able to continue to employ most of our staff, pretty much all of our staff. So I think we can model it. Happy to do that and bring that back for your consideration.
Any other? Councillor Hayes.
Is there any scope for businesses that aren't operating to suspend their garbage charges for the time that they're out of business, that they're not open?
I'd have to say I haven't had that question asked of me. It's a good question. We'd have to, yeah, that's something we can consider, because obviously if we're picking up, well, we don't want to be picking up empty bins, do we? So, yep. So no, I think that's something we can have a look at. So thanks for that suggestion.
Any other questions? All right then, councillors, our report's on page 6, and if I could get a mover, there's a recommendation there. I'll get a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Morrissey.
I'll second.
Sorry, Councillor Hayes. Councillor Morrison. I think any other councillors like to speak. Seconder, Councillor Hayes.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we look at every avenue that we can assist, especially the small business, and for, you know, and don't ignore the large business. Not if they come to us with something, we've got to be in a position to talk to them, and offer them something if we can.
And there is a hardship clause there, and I'd encourage businesses or anyone that's having trouble paying their rates to come and see council. We'll talk to them, and we're here to help. There's only so much we can do too. We've got to run our operations, but in saying that, we're all in this together, so it'll be, if we can be beneficial towards them, I just would request they would come and talk to us. Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, look, obviously I think this is a great start and a great initiative by council putting it up. Obviously we don't know how long this is going to last for and what the final impacts are going to be. And I would like, if it's possible, to have a look at some modelling of different things around rates, just to have a look and see, because obviously we need to balance the financial sustainability of the council as well. But I mean, being in business and having my business shut down, I'm aware that there are a number of things that are still going out the door, and while stimulus packages help, I think if this goes on for a long period of time, many businesses are still going to find it hard to get out the other side of it. So something we'll probably need to continually revise and revisit and make sure that we're on the right track as we move forward. But I definitely support it at this point in time.
Any other speakers? Look, I'll just say that it's very trying times for members of our community, and we've come out of a 12-month to 18-month drought. We've then gone into bushfires. We've got over millions of dollars worth of flood damage from roads. It's something I've never experienced in my life, and now the coronavirus, and it's hard. It's those other disasters I mentioned have an effect on different sectors. This has right across the whole council area, and I think council needs to be responsible. And this is a start. It's a two-stage package, but that may not be enough. As the time goes on, we may look at other avenues, how we can help our community. But in saying that, it is a start, and I'll be supporting the recommendation. Any other speakers? Councillor Morris, you want to reply?
Through you, Mr Mayor, just thank the General Manager for his presentation, and I think the report and the presentation said it all.
Thank you. That closes the debate. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carry unanimously. Item 2 on the agenda. Drought assistance funding, page 12, 5.2. Could I get a mover and a seconder for this, please?
Moved.
Morrissey. Councillor Morrissey.
Second.
Councillor Lyons. Councillor Morrissey.
No.
Councillor Lyons, do you want to speak?
No, I think it's covered pretty much what we're looking at. I think there'll be a lot of help out there and people will be appreciative of this. For now, yeah.
Thank you. Any questions or?
Yeah, question. I'm not comfortable with the $420,000 for the casino showground upgrades unless we can discuss tonight how it falls into the criteria for this program. I want to know that it does fall into the criteria because it's quite a bit of money and I just can't see how it's related to drought assistance. So if someone wants to explain it, that'd be great.
While you're looking at that, Mr General Manager, I've just done a couple of notes myself. This, I believe it does fall in. It's for a stimulus. It doesn't all have to spend on drought relief, but I'd like to see it linked with the rural sector. And I think that the drought mostly affected the rural sector more than any other sector in our community. And they've always had a very close link with the showground for shows, gymkhanas, rodeos, camp drafts, pony club, the races, etc. But recently it became apparent how vital a showground is when it was used on various occasions for bushfire evacuation centres during the disaster, where large animals could be evacuated to off properties. So the rural sector is a beneficial of that. Then it housed the Blaze Aid Camp for 5 months. And those people, volunteers, actually repaired farmers' fences. So I really couldn't think of a better place to put in affecting money than the showground. It really does link in with our rural sector. That's the way I'm looking at it. I've got no hesitation in supporting some money going there. But Mr General Manager, I think there was a question about does it comply with the guideline?
Yeah, look, I've just pulled up I've just found the guidelines and if the frequently asked questions that were issued from Australian Government business for the Drought Communities Program. I mean, the aim of the program is around stimulus and generating, projects within a community. So examples focuses on local community infrastructure, facilities and spaces. So it says it includes bike paths, skate paths, footpaths, streetscapes, community centres, recreational facilities, parks, sporting facilities, stadiums, arenas, libraries, showgrounds, caravan parks, men's sheds, roads. It says this list is not exhaustive. So there's a list of those infrastructure. So what types of projects could be undertaken at these local community infrastructure facilities and spaces? So there's examples around repairing, maintaining and upgrading those spaces. It says lighting upgrades or new lighting, fencing around facilities or swimming pools, solar panels, drainage and watering systems, amenities, drinking fountains, barbecue areas, park furniture, shelters, footpath renewal, sport and rec facilities, whether that be tennis courts, gymnasiums, scoreboards, shade structures, kitchen upgrades and or repairs, power connections to caravan sites, which is a component of what's within that package, improved disability access, purchase of equipment, purchase of equipment to support local SES and RFS. So there's some of the what's listed within the FAQs. One of the so the overall benefits they're looking to achieve are increased tourism, increased trade for local businesses, improved services resulting from enhanced facilities, inspected longer-term employment benefits to the agricultural sector from the project, and the number of people that are expected to use the approved project. So just to give some examples of what other local government areas have used this funding for, so here's a list of those, which is bulk water points, provision of karting water, timber bridges, pedestrian footpaths, sporting facilities, rural event funding, lighting upgrades, solar panels, water irrigation of sporting fields, infrastructure upgrades to halls, amenities, etc., and upgrades to camping and picnic facilities. So there's so I suppose an overview of why we've recommended that that expenditure on the showground. It's also the fact that it's a project that's identified in our strategic plan. It's one that we've done a master plan for the showground. Full upgrades around $8 million. We thought it was an opportunity just to kick that off, and also, as the Mayor mentioned, that I suppose linkage with our rural community that showgrounds are a key part of. That was one of our challenges, is how you obviously the expectation around drought funding is that that's for our agricultural or rural community. The program specifically excludes the funds being made available to an individual for an individual's benefit. It even mentions vouchers, so you're not allowed to provide vouchers to particular people within a community. It's specifically around infrastructure that is available and supportive to the general community. So hopefully that's provided some food for thought.
Councillor.
Thanks very much, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment to that. The area there that I was certainly supporting this for was we've actually been investigating and doing a lot of talking about offering the free camping. So straight away, that's the item that stood out for me, that doing this will offer, people won't drive past and they'll stay here with the free camping areas. And we're looking then again for tourism and shopping locally and supporting a lot of those other areas that the General Manager spoke about.
Can I just comment on that? Doesn't the report say that the RV is to finance future works out there, the RV state, to create income?
It could generate some income or something like that. Is that what you're talking about?
It could also create yeah, it says it could also, well, the RV side of things, could create a revenue stream, which really is for the upkeep of the facilities. I mean, I think the usage of the showground by BlazeAid, where at times we had, 30, 40 sort of caravans there, and I think that operation really worked. For me, that was an opportunity to test how that worked, and I think that showed that space can be well utilised. And unfortunately, I had to drive past there yesterday, and it's clear there's nothing there. It's a shame that BlazeAid had to move on, but they did. But I suppose I drove past and it was back to how it was. So it does quickly return to how it was. It's a matter of whether do we want that activity there more often? And so I think part of this funding is to improve some of the power availability that is there. So it's about a revenue stream for us to maintain that area, but I think more importantly it's about that economic activity in our community, rather than them drive through our area to other local government areas that provide free or low cost camping.
What kind of usage do you envisage the structure will entice to the showgrounds over time?
I don't have any figures on what it'll be. I suppose it's build it and they will come. Others are doing it and getting good. They have good numbers. I know Coagle Showground has good numbers. I think also, is it Alstonville or Wollongbar? Alstonville. So and I think we do get a lot of traffic through here of that sort of sector of the tourism economy. So
You can drive out the Grafton Road just the other side of the Rapville turn-off, and there's usually 5 to 10 campers there a night. So they'd stop here. They'd stop in town. Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, look, certainly acknowledge that the showgrounds are a focal point of the community, and I generally wouldn't have any issue with providing money for upgrades. My only, I guess, question is we have $1 million here to spend, and I just wonder if we're missing an opportunity to try and spend it in an area that might help drought-proof the area for next time, or do some things that might at least assist, reduce the severity of the drought for next time. And some of the things you've put forward, Mr Mayor, about securing casinos' water supply into the future. You know, we had issues with water supply here. You know, there's $1 million here. Should we be looking at investigating raising the weir, for instance? Or that's my only concern, is that, you know, this money's for drought, well, come from assistance for drought, and I just question whether this is the best use of those funds into the future, and trying to make sure that we're as prepared as we can be for next time that there's a drought, because it will come again.
I agree 100%, it will come again. It has in the past and it will again. You might recall that we got a government grant from the state government to do a future water strategy, which is under progress. But there are avenues for council to get funding out of the stronger water funding. Not sure of the exact words, but the government do have those grants for those things. But $1 million won't do that. I think there's guidelines on this, timelines on this, and to do
for what we need. Yeah, well, we need to submit, and then there's a time period where we need to report back and have the money spent.
Yeah, so I don't think we'd be able to fill that timeline to do that. You'd have to do design work and go through like fisheries and all that. It's most probably a 3 to 4 year to get all that licences and things like that. Yeah, it'd take a long time to do that. So, but we are on the looking at the drought system, the water shortage system for casino water supply. Well into that. Look, for people at home, we might just read through those. The first one's $100,000 for water filling stations. The community hall upgrades program, $100,000. The showground, $420,000. Paddock to Plate project, and the tourism facility road access improvements. And as the General Manager said, this money can be spent for tourism. The Paddock to Plate project, that's one thing I would like to get a bit more feedback on, please, if that's possible.
I mean, really, it's obviously agritourism has been identified in our tourism plan as something we want to develop. See this as an opportunity to invest, and this really is bringing our, the aim is to bring our hospitality industry, our agricultural industry, and our local, business communities together with some initiatives to boost our attractiveness to tourists from further afield. This program is proposed that it would have input from a company called Regionality, which is run by Rose Wright, who's had success with these sorts of programs in the Tweed and also in Scenic Rim in southwest Queensland. So we would be utilising her experience and expertise to support our tourism team to put this program, it's a program, so it's over a period of time, this program together to engage our different sectors of our business communities, bring that together and provide a new experience, while also showcasing our local product. That's one thing we know that particularly the Asian market are very much about paddock to plate and knowing where the food's coming from. So it's about building on that and attracting a new segment of tourist to the Richmond Valley.
Can I just ask when the deadline is that we need to have these projects submitted?
Just bear with me and I'll just see if I've got that.
1st of June.
They need to be submitted by the 1st of June, is that right?
Its closing date for eligible councils is the 1st of June.
Sure is 1st of June, and the date by which projects should be completed is the 30th. Hang on. Now this says 1st of June 2021. Closing date for applications. That's a long way off.
We're reading the same thing, doesn't seem like that, does it?
No, but then it says that the date by which projects should be completed is the 30th of June. So they're basically giving, so you can apply up until the 1st of June 2021, and then you've got to have it done by the 30th of June 2021. Seems a bit odd.
Yeah.
Like you can wait until 1 June 2021. I'm just wondering whether that's actually a typo and it should be 1 June 2020.
2020.
Yeah, I've just gone into that document that was attached to that same email, and it says
It's page 20 of the Drought Communities Program Extension Grant Opportunity Guidelines. So it looks like 1 June 2020 at the earliest.
The bushfire one had a short time frame. That's why we had to get it to the last meeting.
I thought we had 3 months from announcement date, but that's obviously not reflected in these guidelines. So, from what I'm reading here, there is the opportunity to defer this if that's something that you would like to consider.
Yeah, I guess that was where my question was leading, was if there's not particular time urgency on it, is it something that's worth us just having a little bit more discussion around, and what other potential projects might be worthwhile? Certainly not saying that these aren't, but you know, this is the first we've seen of it, and there may be other things that are worthy of consideration.
I was just wondering why it was brought to an extraordinary meeting if it wasn't.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I'll give you the answer. Because I know that our community is hurting, and I thought it was an opportunity for us to give them some good news on how we're going to move forward with this money, and also get some stimulus into our economy. So, put simply, that's why I brought it to this meeting. But if you want to defer this, probably in the scheme of things, a month's not going to be a major sort of impediment to getting things happening. So it's up to you. But that's why it was brought to this meeting. Yep, we do normally workshop these things, and this is probably why.
And I understand and respect that, because we do need to get some money spent in our community as soon as possible.
Yeah, look, I'd like to see it decided and spent tonight. Yeah, I think we need some good news. Yeah.
Look, I'm happy for it to go through as it is. I think there's some really good linkages to our community there, especially the rural sector. And we have a motion and a second. If anybody wants to move an amendment, please do.
I'll move that it be deferred.
Got an amendment? Councillor Simpson. I have a seconder. I'll second it for debate. Councillor Simpson.
I think I've basically already made the arguments for it. I don't need to go over it again. So, look, you know, whilst these are all very worthy projects, my preference is to get things right, as opposed to try and get a good news story out there as soon as possible. I would like to make sure that we're taking into consideration all of the things, and in particular, things that would help us into the future with any future droughts, given that's where this money's coming from. So, you know, my preference is to get it right, as opposed to do it quickly and have a good news story.
I respect Councillor Simpson's comments. Also, just reiterating on the fact too that the community was approached, and we've listened to their submissions and their input, and I think coming from this list here, we've addressed a lot of the a lot of the things the community would like to see some money spent. I think it's just timely that we progress. I'm happy to see it to progress how it is.
Any other speakers?
Also, with respect, I've come into the meeting tonight to vote this way. I would like to make a comment to the paddock to plate project. I had the amazing experience of being involved with the beef on Barker, and it was only a one-off event, but it was a beef on Barker where they celebrated local produce and had they took up half of Barker Street. It was a plates, proper plates, crockery plates, and knives and forks, cutlery. It sold out so quickly. They couldn't keep the meals coming up to the people. They had to move them on. They wanted to sit there. It was just an amazing event. So I've seen it work, and I believe I can just see this being even bigger and better. And with all the work that we've done with our community in the last 10, 20 years. So I do support that project. I certainly didn't have it, even though it's the last on the list. I didn't actually have it last on the list, even though it's not a drought-proofing project.
Thank you.
I'd just like to comment on what Councillor Cornish just said. Like that list in there that come in from public submissions, we've covered it all in what we've got in the list, but the one that does stand out is the harvesting and reuse of stormwater. We haven't done anything with that. Maybe that's for the future, for the money for the
study.
Yeah, the state one. We can cover that then. So really, we've covered all the things in there that I reckon are relevant. There's a couple of things in there I think just shouldn't be there, but so.
Any other speakers? I'll put the amendment first. Oh, sorry. Councillor Morris, do you want the right of reply as a mover? I'll put the amendment first. All those in favour of the amendment to defer it? One against? It's defeated. I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? The motion? Unanimous. Thank you. Close the meeting. That's it. That closes the meeting. Thank you very much for your attendance. And everyone, please stay safe.